So when I talk to people about my yoga channel, one of the things that when I ask what you'd like to see, a lot of people say ways to stay grounded. And with people who work in the travel industry, and especially in airline, that makes total sense from a yoga perspective. I'm not going to go into why that would take a while in this video, I won't. But in this video, my goal is to give you a grounding yoga practice that you can do anytime you are just kind of feeling like you need to come out of the clouds mentally. So I know that can be a thing, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to start standing. So coming on to, if we've got our yoga mat with us, great. If not, that's okay too. But we're really going to think about our connection to our mat. So let's first build everything from the ground up. So we're going to adhere the balls of our feet and the heels to the mat. Think about pulling up through your arches, which sounds interesting, right? But as you do that, you're going to feel your kneecaps start to pull up. It's going to activate all that muscle structure, and you're almost going to feel like your quads are tightening because they are. So you're pulling up through the arches in your feet. You should be able to wiggle your toes, but you're feeling your balls of your feet and your heels down into the mat. So just for a moment, be right there. And sometimes that connection can feel a little hard, especially if you've been walking around in shoes. Just connecting to the floor can feel tough. A way to help that, first of all, let's make sure our feet are right under our hips. What that's going to do is stabilize us more than here. This is going to make us feel more ungrounded because we have a smaller base. We want the base of our body to be a little bit wider. So go about hip width apart. And if you're then having more trouble feeling like you're connected, rock back and forth a little bit from the balls of your feet to your heels. And that can just start connecting us with the floor a little bit, giving us a little bit of movement, especially if we've been walking around in shoes that might be a little uncomfortable. Just giving us a little bit of sensation of really adhering to the ground. And then just stop that rock for a moment and then go back to that idea of the ball of the foot and the heel pressing into the floor while we lift up with the arch of our foot. And we should start to feel our foot kind of locked down. In yoga, that's called pada bandha, pada being foot, bandha being lock. So that is a thing in yoga, actually, pada bandha. And that's what we're practicing right now, really getting that lock onto the ground. Now let's think about the rest of our body here. Let's build this from the ground up. We've already built up to our quads, right? With that pull up through our arches. So now let's think about stacking the spine. We want the crown of the head to be as tall as it can possibly be. And take the shoulder blades back and down. Maybe just do a few rolls right here, actually. And then really press those shoulder blades like we're putting them in our back pockets here. And we're going to go into a breath technique called ujjayi breathing. So we're going to be standing for just a moment. The body can sway a little bit in the stand. In fact, your body's going to sway. That's how it keeps its balance. So soften the knees, just meaning taking the lock out of the knees, just that micro bend right before the knee locks out. We're going to be right there. We're going to find a focal point on the wall. So for some people, closing your eyes works. For some, it doesn't. That's okay if it doesn't. Just finding a focal point on the wall is perfect. And to go into this ujjayi breath, which is a very centering breath to bring our energy and our focus into ourselves, we're going to think about on the inhale, inhaling through the nose. But then as we exhale, we still kind of exhale through the nose a little bit, but we're going to involve the mouth too. And we're going to make kind of a ha sound. So that air is going to come out kind of through the mouth, making that ha sound. So inhale, and then try that exhale. So it's going to be audible. Now we're going to do that again, but we're going to keep our mouth closed. You're only going to hear it in your head this time. So inhale, exhale, you're just going to hear it in your head. It's going to be a pretty deep sound. Inhale again, and exhale. Just keep doing that. If you're hearing Darth Vader, if you're a Star Wars fan, you're doing it correctly. It also can be called whisper breath because it does kind of sound like there's a whisper going on in the back of your head. But it's best described really as Darth Vader breath because that's really what it sounds like in your own mind. So let's continue that ujjayi breath. Inhale here. Exhale, make that sound just in your own head. And we're going to try to keep with this ujjayi breath for the entire practice. So really bringing that focus in, and we're going to add a little bit of movement here by bringing those arms up as we inhale. And then as we take that audible exhale, let's bring the hands down. Let's do that a few more times. Inhaling up. Exhale, hands down. Inhaling up. Exhaling down. Let's try that one more time. Inhale as we reach up. Exhale as we release down. We're going to release our hands all the way down to our sides with our fingertips actively reaching down, our shoulder blades rolling down to those back pockets. And we're going to move into a very grounding posture, chair. We're going to exhale, come down. We're going to counterbalance with our arms. As we inhale, we're going to reach to the sky. Let's do that a few more times. Exhale here. And inhale, reach. Exhale here. Inhale, reach. Let's do that one more time. Exhale here. Inhale, reach. We're going to exhale our hands in front of us. And then as we inhale, we're going to step to a short warrior one. I'm going to be your mirror. We're going to keep our right foot in front, send our left leg back. Inhale here, reach to the sky. Exhale, hands to the heart and then down. And let's flow into a little bit of a flow here. So as the hands come down, inhale. As we sit back into a chair, we're going to exhale. We're going to inhale our hands up. Exhale our hands to our heart. Now this time our right foot goes back. Inhale, reach. We're going to try to exhale right into chair now. So just step into chair, exhale. Perfect. We're just going to take that little pause out. Inhale, lift to the sky. Exhale, hands to the heart. Inhale, left foot back, reach. Exhale, right into chair. Inhale, lift. Exhale, hands to the heart. Inhale, right foot back, reach. Exhale, directly into chair. Couple more times. Inhale, reach to the sky. Exhale, hands to the heart. Inhale, left foot back and reach. Exhale, the chair. And one more time. Inhale, reach. Exhale, hands come to the heart. Inhale, right foot back, reach up. Exhale, chair. Inhale, lift the hands to the sky. Exhale, hands to the heart, standing here. And we're going to take a warrior one short stance like we just did. We're going to hold it. We're going to send that left foot back. We're going to have our right knee in a little bit of a bend. Now, thinking about grounding here, we're feeling the ball of the foot and the heel on both feet. Now, notice the left heel is the furthest point back of the body. So there's a little bit of an angle here. We have our hands to the heart. We're going to keep them here for just a second, trying to press this back left hip around. So we're really, really square in our hips. In fact, let's take our hands there right now. So thinking about squaring our hips up to the front of our body, we're going to go into pyramid. So this is a great stretch for the back of the body. We're going to take our right knee, almost lock, keeping the hips steady and our back long. We're going to come forward just as far as we can, keeping the back long. So notice here, I'm not quite rounding yet. I'm setting my hips up with my back straight. Then I can start to round the back, taking my hands to the thigh, shin, or the ground with my right leg in front, letting the head drop. Still pressing this right hip around, taking a few of those ujjayi breaths here, feeling that breath in our head. Our next inhale, we're going to start walking ourselves up. Exhale here. And just step forward. Let's bring the hands to our heart again. And let's take the other leg back. So we're going to step back on our right. Again, I'm mirroring you. And we've got our left knee bent. Right heel is the furthest point back of our body. Hands are at our heart, digging our feet into the mat, finding that breath. Let's transfer the hands to the hips here. Let's take the left knee almost locked, long spine as we just tilt forward first. So we find that hip hinge with the long spine first. So that first movement comes right from our hips, and then we can round our back, hands going to the thigh, shin, or the ground. Right hip leveraging toward the front, and again, melting into that ujjayi breath. As we inhale, we walk on up, finding our exhale, stepping into our Tadasana, our mountain pose. And again, finding the grounding here. So if we need to rock again, we can totally do that. And here we're really going to find that connection and work at your own pace here. If you need to grab a chair, piece of furniture, wall, we're going to be doing just a very basic tree posture, just a balance here. So we want to think about pulling the belly button to the spine right here. So that's going to help us to balance. We're going to go back to that idea of a focal point right in front of us. So finding a focal point to look at. And we're going to take the right foot. Again, I'll be your mirror. We're going to really glue the right foot down as we start to think about the left foot either coming to the ankle, the calf, or if we want, we can tuck it to the thigh. We want to avoid the knee joint. I usually just go to the calf when I'm teaching. Hands can be down. They can be at the heart, which is where I kind of like. You can also reach those hands up. So here we're really focusing on that ujjayi breath. We're focusing on pulling the core in to help us balance. We're just feeling that grounding, almost like our foot is glued to the ground. Next exhale, we're going to come back to our mountain pose. So we're going to bring our left foot down. And again, we're going to think of that idea of grounding. So if we need to kind of move around on the mat, we can do that. And this time we really are going to focus on gluing our left foot to the mat. And as we do that, our right foot can come to our ankle, our calf, or we can tuck it, avoiding the knee joint, holding on to something if we need to, moving our hands wherever we would like those, and finding our ujjayi breath. Core is firm here. That really can help with balance. And let's exhale our hands down. We're going to find mountain pose again. This time we're going to do a little bit of a heart extension. I'm just going to turn so you can see what I'm doing. We're going to bring our fist to the small of our back. Our knees are soft. There's a little bend in them. Locking them out will unbalance us typically. And just pressing that heart toward the sky here. Let's inhale, take the hands to the sky. Let's exhale, find a forward fold. So coming down, hands can come to the shins, they can come to the thigh, they can come to the ground. Knees can be a little bent, mine usually are. That makes it more comfortable on the back. If we'd like to shake or nod the head, here we can. Continuing our breath pattern. Let's step this to a downward facing dog. So we're going to think about our hands here. If you need to peek up for a second, you can. We're going to think about taking the hands wide. So the fingers are spread wide. That gives us a better base for our downward dog. Heels are going toward the mat. They don't have to be on the mat. And here, if we want to, we can bicycle the knees, bending one and then the other. Feeling more and more grounded here as we work our way down to the mat for a moment. So let's lower our knees down. So we're going to come into an all fours. We're going to take the hands right underneath our shoulders. And again, we're going to keep the hands spread out, the fingers spread wide. We're going to try to connect the fingers to the floor and the palm, like the base of the palm of our hand to the floor. And then pull up right in the middle of our palm where our fingers connect. So we've got that pull up going. And notice that mirrors what we did with the foot at the beginning of class. So we had Pada Bandha, right foot lock. What we're in now is called Hasta Bandha, hand lock. And it's again, very grounding. We're gonna play with this just a little bit. Let's think about really grounding our left hand in. We're gonna pick our right hand up like we're shaking somebody's hand in front of us. And then if we'd like, we can focus right down on the mat, finding a focal point and raising the left foot. And I like to keep the foot flexed. It just keeps the muscles engaged a little bit, almost like we're putting a footprint on a wall behind us. Finding that Ujjayi breath. And let's switch sides. Right hand comes down, left knee comes down. And let's take the left hand forward, right foot comes back. And we find that nice stretch between our fingertips and our heel as we're grounding down with our right hand. Let's bring the hand and the knee down. And we're going to go to one of the most grounding poses of all, child's pose, sitting our hips back over our heels, stretching our hands forward on the mat. From here, if you'd like, you can walk your hands to the right and drop the hips to the left. Find a little stretch in the left side of the body. And let's switch sides. Hands go to the left, hips go to the right. We're going to center up with our child's pose. Take a couple breaths here. We'll press ourselves into a seated position. And here, let's bend our right knee. Again, I'm going to be your mirror. Let's leave our left leg nice and straight, locking it down to the ground. A little tiny bend in the knee, especially if we're feeling tight in our hamstrings or our low back. Long spine, hands come up, and we twist one vertebrae at a time, starting at the base of the spine, down and around to our right leg, just draping our left hand over. Right hand goes behind us. We look over our right shoulder, finding our breath. Starting at our head, everything comes back around. And let's take the left leg to a bend. Right leg is on the ground, a little bit of a flex in the foot, maybe a bend in the knee. Inhale, reach the hands to the sky, crown of the head toward the sky. And at the base of the spine, we start our twist. Holding here and breathing. And let's start at the head, coming around here. Let's take a butterfly pose, soles of the feet together. Sits bones adhered to the ground, heart comes forward. We can round that back over further if we'd like. It changes the stretch a little bit. I tend to feel more of a hip stretch if I keep my back long, so do whatever one works for you. And just letting gravity bring the knees down. There's really no need to try to like really force the knees, just let gravity take over. Every time we do that Ujjayi exhale, where we're hearing that Darth Vader sound in the back of our throat, we want to think about gravity taking over and relaxing our muscles into the stretch a little bit more. Let's inhale, coming up to a seated position. You may sit any way you like, and we're just going to end our class. So let's go ahead here. Inhale, bring the hands to the sky. Exhale, hands down to our heart. And we're going to end with that yoga term that means so many different things, but the easiest way to water it down is just my spirit honors your spirit. And that word is namaste.